Hey, everybody. So this is the next session, the third session in an installment. We did a couple episodes here with PayNearMe talking about digital payments, digital payment adoption, getting it ingrained in your operations, which is very front and center. I think a lot of us during COVID really took a hard look at our operations, knowing that with the work from home, we wanted to give not only our customers, but our employees the best shot at having, good efficiency and effectiveness in their work. And companies like PayNearMe are no different. So super honored today to have Ann Hay. She's the VP of Marketing with PayNearMe. We're going to get into more of the customer side, which is very important. And you could argue we should have led with this. We should have, look, we're going to cover it all. So everybody just chill out. Ann, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Joel. Thanks for having me.
So, Ann, before PayNearMe, you've been in the digital payment space for some time, right?
I have. I think we're closing in over 25 years now. I've been watching the evolution of bill payments and moving quickly, and it's exciting, and it's not slowing down. And so they're still, regularly evolving, and it's just a really exciting industry to be in.
Yeah, the number of ways to pay digitally has really ramped up in the last couple of years. I mean, there's so many ways that people pay very regularly that were nothing 10 years, even 5 years ago. I remember making initial Venmo payments among friends, and we were still kind of messing around with some cryptocurrency wallets and stuff like that. And we were just having fun seeing at where things are moving, because that Venmo added almost like a little bit of a social media slice to it, a little bit. I don't know why I care that I see that Ann paid her dog sitter $5. I really kind of don't care. I don't know why people, but things really have changed.
Sure. And even the evolution of payment types and becoming more than just a payment type, to your point on Venmo, PayPal, the use of these payment types also as wallets, where people are actually getting paid and paying, from the same place, like folks who maybe just choose not to use traditional banking or just get paid that way, right? It's a lot easier to move money in and out of your Venmo wallet than it would be to try to introduce a bank account into that mix.
Yeah. And I would have been the wrong person to put in charge of kind of pioneering that, because I would have thought these are depository institutions and you need to treat them as such. But thank God for the fintech innovators, because they've made it so that we don't have to face all those restrictions. We just keep pushing and let the regulation kind of catch up. And I think that they're smart enough to know that they're not moving too far afield, right? That you're not going to get into some danger zone if you use, Venmo payment or something like that. You're going to be. I mean, it's a secure thing. We have enough proof points.
Right.
But and you all have done a great job in terms of thought leadership, and you have a couple of research papers that go beyond just the anecdotal evidence that we could kind of get into. Maybe we can start kind of getting into that. Maybe just to start off, what are the white papers, and what was the driver behind kind of getting them, executed?
Sure. So earlier this year, we took a survey of over, I think, 2,600 U.S. consumers. We want to take a look at a number of things. We have a first paper out around consumer expectations, and then one that just came out around mobile payments. And we're also looking at data to help our businesses take a look at what else consumers are thinking about. Maybe what's one of the things that the survey showed was this very large feeling of disorganization that consumers are having. And we took a look at that based on age group and how that differed. And then also just with this younger age group, as they're becoming up of buying age, what they're thinking about, what they're doing. And we could talk about a little bit about that later, because that's part of my surprises of this younger age group and the kind of pain they're feeling around bill pay, and maybe what we think is a reason for that. But to go back to the research, we wanted to look at what consumers wanted to do. There's a lot of research out there about existing behavior, what folks are doing today. And this is skewed because some consumers are sort of limited by their options, right? They're answering these questions about what they're doing based on what they have available to them. And I think that generally can misinform decisions for billers. We wanted to ask consumers, like, if you had the option, what would you do? How do you actually want to pay your bills? What are these things that you're having in other parts of your life, like use of digital wallets that are becoming popular, QR codes, these things that are that are coming on. And if you had that option, would you use it? Would you want to use it? Is it important? Is it not important? And we really wanted to ask that question of consumers to give the industry the data to help guide decisions on where they go next with their bill payment initiatives. Consumers are influenced incredibly by experiences in retail and e-commerce, right? We know even just over the last year and a half, the rise of things like just contactless payments has gone through the roof. And it was going to probably happen anyway, but I think COVID really accelerated that, right? The Uber, the Amazon, the Venmo, these have all reshaped expectations for consumers in general, and it's making its way over to bill pay for sure.
Yeah, and for me, I'm probably I'm not an early adopter for social media, but I'm kind of like a next stage adopter. And then once I get into it, I tend to, I'm really big on LinkedIn. That's been a great platform for me. But I started in on Instagram about a year or so ago when I had to get off Facebook. It was too much noise and people thinking that what Ann Hay thinks about the president is like, has to be out there, right? Like nobody cares what Ann Hay thinks. And it's just, we fall into this trap. But right. I do like Instagram and I found that, so I have a couple of affinities. I like to play tennis. Just found out Steve Kramer likes to play tennis. I need to challenge him to a game one time, but I like to play tennis and I like to ride my motorcycle. And so I get marketed things that are actually relevant to me or something about fitness and health. I get those on Instagram and I will hit the button and I will go straight ahead and buy from that marketplace, which I never would have done on Facebook. If you had told me a couple of years ago that I'm making major purchases, $400, riding jeans from Instagram from a company that I have no idea about them, but I'm doing it, right? Yeah. Like I have this confidence now. So things are changing, but you made a really good point from one of the takeaways from the studies that there is a downside to looking backwards, to just say, hey, Joel made the last 10 payments using this method or this vehicle. And that's indicative of what he's going to want to do moving forward. And I think the nice thing about your survey is you surveyed people about options and new different ways. Would you do this if you were offered it? And like, I think that's maybe a good point to kind of get into about the downsides of looking backwards and what you learned through your studies.
Yeah. And, you made a really good point there about the sort of social platforms knowing what Joel might want to buy, right? That is the use of data. That is very much what we call a payments 3.0 approach to an experience that almost makes the payment process sort of invisible, right? These companies are using data. They know about you to deliver a better experience for you. Sure, in retail, they're getting you to buy stuff. But in bill payment, the use of that data does have a place for delivering a more personalized and an easier payment experience for you. And the result of that is really just better customer satisfaction and an end result of more on-time payments. But there's a place for that data for sure in delivering an experience that we know maybe Joel wants to have with paying his bills. It's certainly there's that, plus there's options, right? Because just because to your point, Joel's paid this way for the last 5 months, it doesn't mean that you'd limit that because things change. And our data does show that consumers do want choices and they've said that they would make payments different ways over different times. Hey, wherever they are, maybe this month I just forgot and now I need to make a last minute payment. And how am I going to do that? And when I'm calling into the customer service agent, do they have the same information about me as it does if I go online, as it does if I go into my digital wallet?
Yeah.
Right. And so that's sort of a looking ahead way and just providing the kind of options that consumers want. And that was a really big takeaway to your point.
Yeah, I think so. I use Venmo and I use PayPal and I have money on both of those platforms. And I couldn't tell you how much is there. Mm-hmm. I can't remember the last time I put money onto the platform. I'm just in a scenario where people tend to want to pay me back for something and then I just let the money sit there. So think about that from a collection standpoint. And I'm dealing with a consumer where they need to make a nominal, $50, $100 payment or something like that. They're tapped. They don't have they don't have it within their primary bank account. They're not getting paid for another 2 weeks. What if you just said, hey, do you have PayPal? Do you have Venmo? Oh yeah, I got those. Do you think there might be some money in those accounts? Because if so, you can pay us using that. like I think of like just those little pockets of money that we have buried in all these different places because of it. Like I
Right.
think of it as being a problem in one way because it's hard to manage, but on the other side, it's like, oh no, I got these little pockets of money buried everywhere. So if I need to make a little payment, I can do it.
Yeah, for sure. And depending on how you get paid, right? One might be you've got that money there because you went out to dinner and all your friends paid you back, right? Or
Yeah.
the other one could be just you have a side gig and you do sort of work under the table, or you walk dogs and you're paid in cash for things like that, right? And you've got money and income came there as well. And when if billers and merchants are working with in benefit of working with a fintech is that you've got all these on the same platform. So for the bill payer, that's pretty seamless experience. They're just picking PayPal or Venmo down from a list of options, just like they would pick ACH or debit card. And for them, it's fairly easy, right? And you're making it easy. Otherwise, what's their other choices? They've got to then put that Venmo PayPal back into their bank account and then move it back. And sort of that's not a great customer experience. And on top of it, if you need to pay pretty quickly, that's definitely not going to happen.
Yeah.
You're right up against your due date. Mm-hmm.
No, that's good to know that there's these kind of pluses and minuses. You did get some confirmation of some obvious things that you mentioned should come as no surprise from consumers. Just overall about the experience of making digital payments. Like what were some of those? Not earth shattering, but maybe more items of confirmation.
Yeah, sure. So the bill payment process is still stressful. I think every report says that for folks. That wasn't surprising. The surprising part of that is it's not maybe what you think. It's not because they don't have the money. It becomes from a feeling of disorganization. Poor user experience is making payments difficult. More specifically, being able to access bill pay information and paying bills is a cumbersome process. We all pay bills. And depending on what kind of bill you're paying, I think it's not a surprise. Certainly some industries are a bit more ahead from an innovation perspective than others, but not surprised there that the user experience isn't that great. There's improvement to be happening. Majority of consumers are struggling to remember usernames, passwords, account numbers. It's causing disorganization and, it's causing bill payment problems. That not very surprising there. And then, finally, I don't think it confirmed for us that consumers just want more mobile payment options. They've got this in other areas of their life. Why do they not have it in bill payment management? And our data suggested billers are slow to offer bill pay choices that consumers expect. Again, not surprising, right? Because we know this to be true, but really good confirmation of there's opportunity there to be offering more mobile payment options that consumers want for bill pay management.
Now, not to get sad, folks, listeners, we do have some surprises that Anne's going to share with us. You did pick up some surprises from some of this study.
For sure, some surprises. So overall, we talked about this a bit ago, but nearly a third of consumers, they want to switch up and pay with different types every month. It's important to them to have options, and more options alone isn't going to solve the problem. They've got to be sort of seamless, and the payment activity needs to live where consumers are. The amount of consumers who are interested in digital wallets was very exciting to see. And then also in the new payment type. So over half of that 18 to 44 age group want Apple and Google Pay. Most billers don't offer this at all. Third want Venmo. PayPal was very high on the list. About 43% said that convenience of using PayPal is important or very important. And I think we sort of knew that would be in there, but it's high, and that's the surprising part of it. The amount of consumers who just said, wow, if I just had that option, I would absolutely use it.
So what do you think qualifies as a digital wallet? When I hear that term, like what should I think? Like does Venmo, does Apple Pay, do they count as digital wallets, or do they have that component?
So I think you've got two different kinds of wallets, right? You got the wallets that store funds like the PayPals and of the world. And then you also have the wallets that are sit in your phone. For example, if you've stored your airline ticket in your wallet on your phone,
okay,
how easy it is to pull that up and show it when it's time to go, and almost eliminating that need to go ahead and download sign into your United app and get your boarding pass there because it's already in your wallet. This increasing popularity of wallets, as well as a desire to have quick and easy access to payment information, not only to PayPal, the wallets that hold money and funds in the world, but the ones that just enable you to store things like a payment card. So For example, as a biller can add a payment card to a consumer's wallet, right? You're walking around with this every day. You've got this wallet in imagine, if you will, you could go to just your phone, open up your wallet, open up your card for your lender, and right there, you know exactly how much money you have on your next payment, when it's due. Oh, and you can even click right there on your wallet card and be taken into a personalized link just for Joel to complete a payment. Right. So think about all of the things that would make this disorganization a lot easier for consumers if they had this sort of wallet card pushed. You can send push notifications so that when it is time for Joel to pay your loan, you're getting a notification from your wallet and you're just staying on your mobile device. You don't have to go log in somewhere. You have to go to the website. You don't have to go to the app. Everything is right there carrying around with you. It almost puts the merchant, the biller, in the consumer's wallet all the time. And for the consumer, imagine how easy that is, right? They don't have to get a paper bill in the mail. They don't have to go look for their login or password. Everything is right there for them.
Yeah. Everything all goes back to mobile, I mean, would you rather lose your wallet or would you rather lose your phone at this point?
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
My phone by far. If you carry a wallet, right? Some people, you don't really even necessarily with the licenses coming, sort of working with Apple, right? I think it was, which state it was, putting driver's license like in the Apple Wallet now. You wouldn't even.
Oh, really?
Wallet. I'm sure that's far out, but I have read, some news around that, right? So, what do you need a wallet for anymore?
Look, I would think having at least a photo of your front and back of your ID would be better than not having an ID to present, right?
Oh,
if you were let's say you're traveling and you lost your wallet, but you still have your phone, it's something.
Yeah, your phone's more secure for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of, I want to get into some of the roadblocks or overcoming these gaps, in terms of kind of getting more in sync as a company. The listeners are interested in, okay, so how do I create this tighter relationship with my customers? So what are some of the things that I can do to kind of get that conversation going or get some traction there?
For sure, looking at your talking to your customers. What are they looking for? What are they doing? Where, depending on where you are in the country, what kind of consumers you serve, there's going to be, that mix is going to be different. Knowing your consumer base, knowing what they want, talking about ways to do that. Sure, always delivering what the consumers are looking for is paramount if you're not having that conversation. Revisiting your technology. What options do you have? Are you working with a fintech provider that is going to keep you sort of ahead of the game, right, when it comes to that? And not only being able to offer the options that your customers want as they become available, right? As we talked about payment options up and coming, maybe crypto, maybe a cash app, other things that are coming much more widely adopted among the consumer base. Should that be in your evaluation? And not only can you offer that, but do you have the right technology provider to help you with that and do it quickly with minimal amount of resources on your time, right? Because as a biller or merchant, you want to be focusing your time and resources on growing your business, not trying to figure out, how to light up new payment technology. And then I think focusing on some big wins. You don't have to do everything right away. You can start by segmenting your consumer bases into, maybe you have lay payers or just-in-time payers, and providing them with ways to help them better manage their payments, whether it's by reminders by text or email, or guiding customers to self-service by offering that option, or even just going cashless if you're still taking cash payments on site, and that's an area of operational efficiency you've identified. I think that my Steve Kramer earlier talked a bit more about what those look like, but there are things you can do along the way without overhauling your entire process today to make things much easier for the consumer when it comes to that disorganization and being able to make their payments on time and view their information where they want to, really wherever they are and want to be, meeting them where they are.
Yeah, and this has been one of the silver linings of the whole COVID experience is that I think there's a number of organizations, whether they are small or large, they weren't really in digital payments before, or maybe they were in digital payments, but they weren't taking it as far as they really wanted to, right? Or they saw an opportunity to do something like, I think we were talking earlier, that can be of mutual, very significant benefit to both the consumer and to one of your agents, given the work-life situation that we had to live through. Um, and are there, so this is, we talked about doing this earlier, and I grew up in DC, so I used to watch all the political shows. I used to like watching McLaughlin Group and Chris Matthews. So Chris Matthews used to always have a section at the end. Tell me something I don't know. Okay, what do I not? What do we not know? And that in your mind we need to know. This is. I'm going to put you on the spot. Let's play a little crystal ball here. What do you think, Ann? What do you think's coming down the pipe?
I think so we talked about payment innovation and what happened during COVID and the acceleration. It was happening anyway at a varying degrees of pace. The last year and a half really accelerated that digital strategy for a lot of businesses. But you know what, I don't know if that's surprising or not, but that's not going to slow down. I think, this has been a point of inflection for consumers where they have started to develop new behaviors and expectations have changed. And this is something that for bill pay merchants of the world, this isn't going to slow down at all. PayPal, Apple Pay, Google will continue to gain adoption as consumers enjoy these things. The rise of the digital wallet, we talked about that a little bit as far when it comes to bill pay management. I think that's still not widely adopted, but I also think it's not widely adopted because billers just aren't necessarily offering it as an option for consumers to be using, right? Using those customizable Apple cards in their wallet, storing payment information, things like that. And even just allowing customers to complete bill payments with Apple Pay with a fingerprint or a facial scan. I don't know how groundbreaking necessarily that is, but that's certainly, I think that in general, paying more attention to what's happening with consumer expectations on the retail and e-commerce side of the house is going, the billers who pay attention to that and grasp onto that and are delivering that kind of experience are going to be the ones that really stand out. Same thing along the way, the contactless, like we talked about that as well. That's not going anywhere. That's changed fundamentally the way consumers are behaving. Everything from now, everybody knows QR codes, one of our favorite topics, right? Everybody knew about the QR code 10 years ago or so, but nobody really used it. And all of a sudden it became the main way to look at anything from a menu in a store, things like that. What's old is new. I think there's more of that out there.
Yeah. Well, it's convenient and it works. A lot of these decisions we can make very strategically, but then sometimes it's just, hey, we got to make a move. We have a week to get, something in place. Mm-hmm. Look, I love the thought leadership from PayNearMe and the couple of research papers. We'll post links to those, whatever resources that you want to share within the podcast notes. So for folks that are listening, if you click through the description, whether you're listening in Spotify or on Apple, you just click on the show notes and it'll take you down. You have a little bit of a detail about Ann, and then we'll have links to these studies. It's so great, right? Because I'm sitting here thinking back when I was in non-prime lending, automotive lending, I would have loved to have been able to get a lot of this voice of the customer. But when you're in operations and you're faced with an opportunity to make only so many phone calls that are collection based, and if I called to get your thoughts or impressions, I don't know, like it's like I'm burning a bullet that I would have otherwise used to actually collect the payment. So we're kind of reluctant to maybe do some of these things. Or maybe we're even scared to hear what the real truth is because it shows us how far behind the technology curve we could be. I think it's so great when folks like in the industry, like PayNearMe, do something like this to bring back this information to the masses to help us think about where things are going and consumer preferences. There's very little in my mind that you would want to manipulate in terms of saying what those results are. I mean, I think we all see it and we all live it. We just want to get an idea. What was a particular interest to me was how it breaks down based on different demographics. And I talked a little bit about that with Steve about what it was like to get my mom to start using a computer as an older person, and now she's completely addicted to it. Right. And so I text message with my mom and she sends me little emojis that I didn't even know she knew were there, but it's great. Right. So I do encourage folks to listen, to check out the research papers. Like I said, we'll have them linked. And Ann Hay is the VP of Marketing with PayNearMe. Ann, I'll give you the last word, but thank you so much for being on, Ann. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.